Would you pay nearly $2,500 every year just to avoid picking up dinner? Brown would say no. Brown would probably laugh. $2,500 is a laptop, an emergency repair, or a short vacation. It is not supposed to be the price of staying on the couch. But Brown may already be paying it. Brown orders delivery 3 times a week. Each order costs about $16 more than picking up the same meal, $2.496 per year. Brown never agreed to spend $2,496. Brown agreed to spend $16, 156 times. $16 tonight, $16 on Friday, $16 again on Sunday. One payment would terrify Brown. 156 smaller payments barely get noticed. But where do those 16 extra dollars come from? And why does Brown keep paying them even after seeing the final price? 20 minutes earlier, Brown was not thinking about annual spending. Brown was thinking about fries. Brown had just finished a long day. Brown was tired, hungry, and emotionally unprepared to negotiate with a frying pan. Brown opened the refrigerator. Inside were 1 bottle of ketchup, half a lemon, and enough cold air to feed absolutely nobody. Brown could cook, leave the house and pick something up, or remain on the couch and allow dinner to locate Brown. Then the delivery app appeared like a tiny glowing hero. On the screen was a burger, fries, and a drink for $18. Not cheap. But Brown survived Monday. Brown deserves fries. And just like that, $18 became the price of dinner inside Brown's head. Unfortunately, $18 was only the price of the food. It was not the price of getting the food to Brown. Before measuring convenience, Brown needs a fair comparison. If Brown picked up the meal, the food would cost $18 and the tax would add another $2. So the comparable pickup total is $20. $20 is what Brown pays for the meal. Anything above $20 is what Brown pays to make the meal travel to Brown. So how does a $20 pickup order become a $36 delivery? Brown added the meal to the cart. The app added a $5 delivery fee. $20 became $25. $5 to avoid wearing pants felt surprisingly reasonable. So naturally, the app charged Brown for service. A $4 service fee appeared. Wasn't delivery the service? They looked identical, stood next to each other, and both wanted Brown's money, but spiritually, they were different. $25 became $29. $4 did not feel large enough to restart the search. Brown had already compared restaurants, selected the meal, removed the onions, chosen a drink, and formed a committed emotional relationship with the fries. Then the app discovered Brown had committed an even greater crime. Brown had not ordered enough food. A $2 small order fee appeared. But the app offered Brown an escape. Add $7 more to avoid the $2 fee. A $7 dessert began glowing on the screen. For 3 dangerous seconds, Brown considered spending $7 to avoid losing $2. The correct calculation was $7 added, minus $2 avoided, which equals $5 more spent. Even Brown's calculator looked disappointed. Brown resisted the dessert and accepted the $2 fee instead. The total reached $31. Brown had defeated the dessert. Brown had not defeated the checkout. The tip screen appeared. The driver was doing real work, using real time, and deserved to be paid. Brown added a $5 tip. The final total was now $36. Food and tax, $20. Delivery fee, $5. Service fee, $4. Small order fee, $2. Tip, $5. Brown would have paid $20 to pick up the meal. Brown paid $36 to have it delivered. Convenience premium equals delivered total minus comparable pickup total. Brown did not pay $16 for more food. Brown paid $16 to make the same food travel the final few miles. Not every dollar above the menu price is deceptive. Delivery takes labor. Service costs money. A tip compensates the driver. The important point is that Brown did not compare $20 with $36. Brown compared the first $18 number with each small addition separately. This is partition pricing. Instead of presenting one painful total, the price arrives in smaller pieces. The final price was large. Every individual permission felt small. If the app had shown $36 on the first screen, would Brown still have ordered? Probably not. So why did Brown see the total and press order anyway? Brown had searched through restaurants, compared meals, selected a drink, removed onions, added sauce, checked the delivery time, and stared at pictures of the burger for far too long. Brown had not paid for the food yet. But inside Brown's head, the food already belonged to Brown. Closing the app no longer felt like avoiding a purchase. It felt like giving up dinner and wasting all the effort Brown had already spent building it. If Brown had seen the burger for the first time at $36, Brown could reject it in 1 second. But now Brown was not comparing $36 with $0. Brown was comparing $36 with the dinner Brown was already imagining. The longer Brown spent creating the order, the harder the order became to abandon. But time was not the only thing working against Brown. Hungry Brown is a very different financial advisor. Show the $36 order to Brown immediately after lunch, and Brown might laugh, close the app, and eat something at home. Show it to Brown at 8:30 at night, tired, hungry, and staring into an empty refrigerator, and $36 begins to look less like money and more like rescue. The app did not need to convince Brown forever. It only needed to convince Brown while Brown was hungry. Hungry Brown received the burger in 30 minutes. Future Brown received the bank statement several days later. Hungry Brown disappeared after dinner. A full, slightly sleepy Brown remained, with a receipt and considerably less money. One $16 decision is forgettable. Repetition is what turns convenience into a 4-digit expense. How many times did you order delivery last week? If Brown orders once a week, the annual convenience premium is twice a week becomes $1,664. 3 times a week becomes $2,496. And 4 times a week becomes $3,328. That is how Brown can spend nearly $2,500 a year without ever making a purchase that feels larger than $16. Brown is not paying one terrifying bill. Brown is repeating one harmless-looking decision. $2,496 could be a laptop, an emergency fund, a trip, or simply money that does not disappear inside paper bags. Instead, Brown owns 156 memories of fries, many of which arrived slightly cold. So does this mean Brown should delete every delivery app and cook every meal forever? No. Convenience has real value. Some nights, Brown has a deadline. Some nights, Brown is sick. Some nights, 30 minutes of rest genuinely matters more than $16. Cooking might cost $7.35. Picking up the meal might cost $20 and a 30-minute trip. Delivery might cost $36 but allow Brown to keep working, resting, or caring for someone else. Convenience is not automatically a scam. Convenience is a product. Brown's mistake was not buying convenience. Brown's mistake was never checking its price. Fortunately, Brown can expose that price with 3 simple checks. First, calculate the convenience premium. Convenience premium equals delivered total minus comparable pickup total. Second, estimate the time saved. If delivery saves Brown 30 minutes, that is half an hour. Cost per hour saved equals convenience premium divided by hours saved. Brown can now ask, is avoiding this trip worth $32 per hour to me tonight? That does not mean every free hour must earn Brown $32. Rest has value. Energy has value. The calculation simply makes the trade visible. Finally, Brown asks, if the app had shown me the final total on the first screen, would I still have chosen this meal? If the answer is yes, Brown is deliberately buying convenience. If the answer is no, the smaller numbers probably carried Brown farther than Brown intended to go. The 3 checks sounded intelligent, but they had never met Hungry Brown. A few nights later, Brown returned home tired and hungry. The refrigerator had not improved its personality. Brown opened the same delivery app. The comparable pickup total was $20. The delivered total was $34. Brown calculated the premium. $34 minus $20 equals $14. The trip would take about 30 minutes. $14 divided by 0.5 equals $28 per hour saved. Would Brown still choose this meal if the first screen said $34? Brown looked at the deadline on the laptop. Brown looked at the empty refrigerator. Brown looked at the pants beside the door. Brown pressed order. This time, Brown did not accidentally turn an $18 meal into a $34 decision. Brown knowingly bought $20 of food and tax, plus $14 of convenience. The goal was never to make Brown stop ordering delivery. The goal was to make sure Brown, not the first number on the screen, made the decision. Ending, callback. The driver arrived and handed Brown a small bag of food. Then came the receipt. Brown had paid $20 for dinner and $14 to avoid wearing pants. Brown looked down. Brown had been wearing pants the entire time. The food was convenient. The price had simply arrived in pieces.